On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, the mighty Mississippi ain't so mighty. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to this episode. So I apologize for my unusual attire. Usually I'm dressed in my Hawaiian shirts, but today it's a cold and windy and very wet day here in North Carolina as Hurricane Ian is coming ashore. And as a volunteer firefighter, we've been running out some calls. So I'm trying to film this in between calls. So hopefully you don't hear a beep and see me run away. Today, I want to talk about what's happening on the Mississippi River. But before I do that, real quick update. So the waiver for the parks has been signed. The vessel went into Puerto Rico and offloaded. We don't know how much she offloaded at the port, but Hurricane Ian, which went ashore in Florida, on the west coast of Florida, we've already seen the ports reopen there. Tampa has opened up. The Florida Maritime Partnership put out a tweet today talking about the fact that 25 plus domestic vessels are already calling at Florida ports, delivering over 220 million gallons of fuel that's critical to Hurricane Ian relief. They're trying to get out in front of this to prevent a waiver from being issued, which was absolutely not necessary in the case of the parks, British Petroleum, and Hurricane Fiona down in Puerto Rico. If you want more on that, go ahead and watch my videos I have on it. You're more than welcome to see what my opinion is on this. But today I want to talk about the Mississippi River, in particularly the shrinking Mississippi River. Because what we're dealing with while we have an inundation of water and floods in Puerto Rico, in Florida, and in the Carolinas, we are not having that in the Midwest, particularly with the Mississippi River. So let's go ahead and take a look at this and put this into context. If you're new to the channel, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. All right, let's jump into our story. So this is a video that really captures what the Mississippi entails. I got the audio cut off because I really just need the visuals here. But you get an idea. Now, the Mississippi River is absolutely essential to inland transportation in the United States, and we'll talk about numbers and figures here in a second. But to suffice it to say, we've been talking a lot about the Jones Act recently, and this is one of the best demonstrations of what the Jones Act is, with American-built, American-owned, American-crewed, and American-operated vessels operating on our U.S. inland waterways. But the story here is a really important one, and it comes from a post done at G-Captain by Kim Chipman, Dominic Carey, and Elizabeth Elkin from Bloomberg. Shrinking Mississippi River puts American farm trade at risk. American farmers are facing yet another supply chain headache just as harvest season gets high gear, a shrinking Mississippi River. This video by Tech Insider will give you a lot of the details on the Mississippi River as I talk about the story. So the critical trade route for U.S. crops and fertilizer used to grow them has had such a steep drop in water level that that vessel traffic is being limited. And this is the big issue we're seeing right now, right around the town of Cairo, Illinois. What we're seeing here is from there southward down to northern Mississippi, a precipitous drop in water levels. And what does that mean? Well, ebbing water levels have pushed barge prices to the highest level in 8 years. Now, this is just as the busiest season for these barge and towboats and tows. I got that wrong in the previous video, and I promised I'd correct myself, so I apologize. Towboats and tows are about to get underway. And you got to think, put in this in the context of world events. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia right now? We're seeing wheat and grain shortages coming out of there. So American grain coming out from the interior of the United States is absolutely essential. At the same time, those barges, once they get down to New Orleans and empty out their crops, have to fill back up with fertilizer. Well, fertilizer comes from three places. One's Morocco. Second is Florida, just north of Tampa. You don't know how close we came to losing fertilizer supply out of the United States had Hurricane Ian hit further north. But the third is Russia. And obviously, fertilizer is a premium right now. It is in short supply. And not only is it short supply, but if we can't get it up the Mississippi, that's going to be a huge problem. And with rising barge rates, this is going to add another level of difficulty for our farmers. So this map done by NOAA and the National Weather Service shows you all the river gauges in the Mississippi River Valley. And again, Mississippi River Valley is more than just the Mississippi River. It's the Ohio, it's the Missouri, it's all the tributaries off there. And when you zoom in here a bit, and particularly when we zoom in the area around the confluence of the Mississippi and the Ohio, we start seeing the indicators here that are showing us problems. So What we want to do is zoom in here to Cairo, which is right there, and you'll see Cairo is the big indicator. This is the one that was in the story by Bloomberg, and you'll see how historically right now we've been above and below it. That's the blue line, and the brown shaded area is low water areas, and you see how we're forecast to dip down there in October, come back up a little bit, but then go back down. But if you follow the lower Mississippi down here, you start seeing these brown gauges, and the brown gauges are the ones that indicate to you low water, and not just low water, but well below low water, and more importantly, staying at low water through this entire period. If you come down here, here's Memphis, and you can see how low it is down in Memphis. And coming in here into the upper Mississippi area, you see the same call. So this is a big problem. If we do not have sufficient water for barges to travel down the Mississippi River, they cannot deliver their cargo. So obviously we're facing a bit of a problem here. Now, the entity that oversees this is the Army Corps of Engineers. This is the Mississippi Valley Division of the Army Corps of Engineers. And they divide the river up into districts. Start up at St. Paul, work your way down to Rock Island, St. Louis, Memphis, Vicksburg, and then New Orleans. And so different areas oversee the rivers. They deal with dredging. They maintain the locks. And there are a series of locks involved in the Mississippi, just to give you an idea. This is the lock system in the upper Mississippi area from St. Paul to St. Louis. So you definitely see a big level here of locks going up and down. If you take a look at marine traffic, you can see the amount of traffic that exists right here in the inland waterways. Just an endless stream of tugs and barges down the Mississippi River, the Ohio River, down into the Cumberland, Tennessee, off the Illinois. Just a lot of traffic that is taking place here. And to put this in the scale for us, again, you know, the tugs and barges operate, tugs and barges, I keep saying tugs and barges, towboats and tows operate on the Mississippi River through a series of locks. And those locks are fed by water from the upper level. So if you get a shortage of water in the upper levels, they can't really raise the towboats and tows to come to the neck. So this is why when water levels begin to fall in the Mississippi River, it's so critical. But to give you some context here and the amount of traffic that we're talking about, one barge can carry equal to 15 jumbo hopper train cars. A hopper car for a train can carry about 100 tons of cargo. So you're talking about, again, 1,500 tons of cargo in a single barge. That's equal to 58 semi-trucks. That equates to a lot of cargo: grain, coal, oil, chemicals, salt, cement, scrap metal, building material. And just remember, one towboat can actually, in the upper Mississippi, handle 15 of those barges. 3 across, 5 long. That's equal to 2 1/4 100-unit trains. So you're talking about 225 cars. Again, 800 semi-trucks. So as water levels are falling on the area below Cairo, the intersection of the Ohio and the Mississippi River, down to upper Mississippi, just below Memphis, this is going to have a huge impact. If we cannot get the grain out, that's going to cause shortages worldwide, not just with the United States. And this is a situation that's happening in other areas too. We see it down in Brazil and Argentina. We see it coming out of obviously Russia and Ukraine with the issue of getting grain out of both those countries. We know we're getting more grain out of Ukraine. We initially started getting it out of the Danube River, but then we started getting some off the Ukraine. But now we're still not seeing the volume in the level that we need. And the big thing is if we can't get fertilizer up to get the fertilizer in the ground for the next season, that's going to mean diminished loads the following year. So this is a big issue, the low levels of water in the Mississippi. Now, maybe Hurricane Ian, when it finishes passing through my window here and it heads up north, maybe it'll dump some rain into the Ohio River that can feed this, but that also takes time too. So, hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it across social media, and if you can, contribute to the page. You can do that one of two ways. One, you can go ahead and hit that super thanks button below, and that will allow you to contribute directly to the page, or you can head on over to Patreon and become a patron of the page. You'll see a link at the very end of this video or down in the show notes. You can become a monthly or yearly subscriber. Any assistance you give is much appreciated. Until our next video, this is Sal, signing off.